Isaiah chapter 6, beginning at verse 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, which means the one who is absolutely sovereign. The train of his robe filled the temple. I love that phrase because, again, as you know, in the ancient world, the status of a ruler, the loftiness of a king, in many ways was measured by the stuff and substance of his garments. But here, what Isaiah sees, when he looks up there, he sees this monarch on this elevated throne, high and lifted up. And the train of his garment is so massive that it furls over the side of the throne into the front of the sanctuary and encompasses the entire interior of the sanctuary. There had never been a king like this, where the train of his robe would fill a temple. That's what Isaiah saw as he gazed into heaven. And above him, he said, stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one of the most remarkable aspects of God's work of creation, he makes them and shapes them suitable for their environment. And likewise, when he makes the seraphim, he creates them for their natural habitat, for their environment, because the immediate environment of the seraphim is the presence of God. And to be in the presence of God, in the presence of his unveiled glory, every moment of the day requires a certain anatomical apparatus. They're given 2 wings to cover their eyes. Remember when Moses was on the mountain and he made the great request. He said, Lord, let me see your face. My face shall not be seen. To look upon my face is to die. Looking into the face of God is banned from our eyes from the first sin. And the reason why we cannot see God is not because there is an innate deficiency with our eyesight. The problem is not with the eye, it's with the soul. And even the angels, the seraphims in heaven, as exalted as they are still creatures. To cover their eyes. And so they cover their feet in the presence of God. But the real import of this vision that Isaiah records is not found in the anatomy of the seraphim, but in their message. One called to another, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts, the God of the heavenly armies. The whole earth is full of his glory. The 3 times holy. What's the significance of that? That's the form that we find throughout Scripture of that emphasis by way of repetition. But do you notice here, dear friends, that the seraphims don't say that God is holy. Nor are they content to declare that he is holy, holy. But the heavenly song that celebrates the character of God, declares that He is holy, holy, holy. Nowhere else in Scripture is an attribute of God elevated to the third degree. The Bible does not say that God is love, 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 or mercy, 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 or justice, 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 or even sovereign, 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 but that He is holy, holy, holy. If this doesn't turn you on, you don't have any switches. And that's what I think of when I read this text. That even the dumb, innate, impersonal structures of wood and stone had the good sense to be moved in the presence of the holiness of God. The foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of Him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. And then briefly, the immediate response of Isaiah. The text says this: woe is me. Because here is a man who was regarded as the paragon of virtue in Jerusalem. He was thought to be the model of integrity. And yet the experience of Isaiah, when he catches one glimpse of the elevated holiness of God, is the experience of disintegration. He comes apart at the seams. John Calvin, early on in the Institutes, talks about this sort of thing when he said, as long as our gaze is fixed on this world, on the horizontal plane of this earth, we have no problem with our self-images. We flatter ourselves and address ourselves as something only less than demigods until, if for 1 second we lift our gaze to heaven and contemplate what kind of being God is. In that second, that former security and smugness is annihilated. He said this is the uniform testimony of holy men in the Old Testament, who are reduced to trembling with but one glimpse of the character of God. Now, how does Isaiah express this? You see what happens here? When Isaiah discovers who God is, he pronounces the oracle of woe on himself. Woe is me! I'm ruined. Because for the first time in his life, Isaiah knew who God was. And the moment he found out who God was, it was the first time in his life that he knew who Isaiah was. God was not cruel. He didn't allow His servant to grovel in the dust there with this lamentation of destruction. God acted in mercy. He said, behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away. Your sin is atoned for. That's the curse which was given to Jesus when He became the curse for us. See, the point of this exercise was not for God to torment Isaiah, but to cleanse him. He purified the lips of the man whose mouth was unclean. Then he heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? What does Isaiah say? He doesn't say, here I am, indicating his location. He says, here am I. Send me.